What if I told you that the deepest, darkest questions about life and meaning weren't coming from stuffy old philosophers, but from creatures that lurk in the shadows? Well, today, that's exactly what we're doing. We're diving into the bleak, but honestly fascinating world of nihilism, all through the eyes of some truly unsettling monsters. And we're jumping right into the deep end with this question from our first monstrous thinker, a necromancer. This one sentence, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? It captures that profound sense of futility we're going to be unpacking. Think of this as the anchor for our entire journey into despair. So here's our game plan. First, we'll quickly touch on what we even mean by meaninglessness. Then, we're going to meet our lineup of monstrous philosophers, the despairing necromancers, some cynical power brokers, and even an agent of pure destruction. And finally, we'll see how all their worldviews create this incredible spectrum of despair. Okay, so before we meet the monsters themselves, we really need to get a feel for the bleak landscape they all call home. What's the one core idea that ties all their totally different worldviews together? It all boils down to this one word, nihilism. At its core, it's the belief that life just doesn't come with any built-in objective meaning. It's not just about being pessimistic, it's a full-on philosophical stance. And what's so wild is seeing how all these different creatures react when they start from that exact same empty place. Right. Let's get to our first case study. We're about to meet two necromancers who have the literal power over life and death. Now, you'd think that would give them some pretty unique insight into purpose, right? But for them, it just makes everything feel even more pointless. I mean, wow, this question from our second necromancer is just devastatingly bleak. It perfectly sums up their whole argument. If life is nothing more than despair, then what's the point of bringing anyone back to it? That's not a practical question, it's a deep philosophical jab at the very value of being alive. So for these necromancers, all their power, it doesn't change a thing in the grand scheme. Sure, you can reverse death, but you're just delaying the inevitable. At the end of the day, the result is the same. They see life as this state of silent hopelessness, and our entire existence as just an empty husk. They see so little difference between being alive and being dead that they have to ask, why even bother pretending there's a distinction? So the necromancer's whole vibe is this kind of passive, cosmic despair. They look out at a meaningless universe, and it just paralyzes them. But what happens when another creature looks at that exact same emptiness and doesn't see despair, but sees an opportunity? Well, that's where cynical, self-interested pragmatism rears its ugly head. Okay, get ready because we're taking a sharp turn here. This next perspective is a total shift. Our next two monsters, they don't sit around wrestling with cosmic emptiness. They weaponize it. For them, a world without any inherent meaning is a world without any real rules. And that's the perfect playground for personal gain and a whole lot of malevolence. Yeah, it really doesn't get much more blunt than that, does it? This is our mini-monster, and their philosophy is brutally simple. Morality, life, death, it's all just business. If the price is right, any atrocity you can imagine is on the table. There is literally no higher value than what benefits them. For the mini-monster, morality is just a tool. It shifts depending on who's in power or where the money is flowing. The only true north on their compass is self-interest. Get this, they even see groveling and debasing themselves for power as an exciting and smart strategy. I mean, why not in a world without principles? And just when you thought it couldn't get more cynical, we meet the ant monster. If the mini-monster uses nihilism for profit, this creature takes it a step further. This quote hints at something way more insidious. This isn't just about ignoring meaning for personal gain, it's about actively destroying meaning itself. And it starts with our most basic tool, language. Just look at how this works. The ant monster's whole strategy is to cause long-term, subtle harm by hollowing out words. Communication isn't about connection, it's an infection. The word love can be twisted to mean its total opposite. The ultimate goal is to turn language, the very thing we use to create and share meaning, into this hellish nothingness. It is a truly terrifying form of nihilism. All right, let's move on to our final and maybe the most disturbing philosopher of the bunch. If the necromancers are passive and the power brokers are active, the mage goblin is something else entirely. It embodies a pure, almost religious desire for destruction, just for its own sake. This right here is the Mage Goblin's fundamental challenge to all of us. It questions the most basic instinct we have, the will to live. It looks at a life of what it calls abject misery and asks, hey, is it really so crazy to want a gruesome, painful end to escape all this? It completely flips our understanding of logic right on its head. And this isn't just some abstract thought experiment. Oh no, the Mage Goblin is an active force. It's this ethereal being that flits around, literally creating nightmares and instilling this unnatural desire for self-destruction in other people. It doesn't just argue for nihilism, it makes people crave annihilation. It promotes a philosophy where suffering is the only true escape. So, we've met our cast of characters, the despairing necromancers, the cynical power brokers, and the destructive goblin. Now, let's put them all side by side so we can really see the full spectrum of nihilism that they represent. Okay, let's break this down. For the necromancers, life is hopeless because the entire universe is pointless. For the many-monster, hopelessness is just about losing status or money. The ant monster feels despair when it fails to cause maximum harm. And for the mage goblin, the source of all hopelessness is life itself. You see, they all start from this place of meaninglessness, but they end up in wildly different and terrifying places. So, here's the big takeaway from all this. Nihilism isn't one single idea. It's not a monolith. The absence of objective meaning doesn't automatically lead to one single conclusion. It can show up as that passive, cosmic sadness of the necromancers, or it can become an active, twisted force used to justify greed, corruption, and pure, unadulterated destruction. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. In a universe where we all have to create our own purpose, who's the greater monster? The one who is so paralyzed by the void that they see no meaning at all? Or the one who looks into that same void and decides to fill it with malice, twisting the very idea of meaning into a weapon to hurt others?